The House Chairperson.
There will now be an opportunity for silent prayer or meditation. Please be seated. The Secretary will read the order.
Debate on vote number 23, Defense, including vote 26, Military Veterans Appropriation Bill.
I will now recognize the Honorable Minister of Defense and Military Veterans.
House Chair, Deputy Ministers and Defense, Military Veterans, and Deputy Minister of Defense, Chairpersons and members of the Portfolio Committee on Defense and Military Veterans and the Joint Standing Committees of Defense, honorable members, the Acting Secretary of Defense, our Chief of the National Defense Force, and the Acting Secretary of the Department of Military Veterans. Chair, from the outset, please join us to remember those members of the South African Defense Force who fell in line of duty in the past year, and specifically those who fell during the February of this year in the Eastern DRC. I also, Chair, would like to take the opportunity to inform Parliament that all South Africans that since the announcement of Summit DRC phase withdrawal by our regional body SADC, all 2,250 members of the South African Defense Force were deployed in Operation Tiba, the mission part of Summit DRC, are all back home. On behalf of the Commander-in-Chief of our Armed Forces, the entire Defense Force family, and the people of South Africa, I want to thank our men and women for their sacrifice and hard work in contributing to peace and stability in the region. Their efforts will never be forgotten. We welcome all of them back home. Meanwhile, Chair, all our prime mission equipment has also been withdrawn from the Eastern DRC. It's currently in Tanzania. It's being verified, will be loaded back by air and sea, and will be back home. I also want to take this opportunity to thank the government of Rwanda for allowing us a safe passage through their territory into Tanzania, and further wish to thank the governments of Tanzania, Malawi, and the parties involved in the safe withdrawal of our members. Chair, got into the business of the day, which is a debate on the defense budget 2025, vote 23 and vote 26 for military veterans. I want us to remind ourselves of our core business, that the defense establishment is mandated by Constitution to defend and protect the Republic of South Africa and its people, safeguarding South African sovereignty, its people, and constitutional order. So the Department of Defense budget is located within the medium-term development plan as approved on the 26th of February 2025 by the Government of National Unity, and it continues to be guided, but it continues to focus the 7th administration. So the budget 43 is also in alignment with adjusted budget of Defense Strategic Plan and the annual performance plan for 2025-26 medium-term expenditure framework, as was tabled by Parliament on the 17th of June 2025. Now, Chair, governance and accountability remain of importance, ensuring that the defense utilizes scarce resources in the most effective and efficient manner in compliance with the regulatory requirements, thus contributing to building a capable, ethical, and developmental state. Chairperson, on the 24th of January 2024, the President did instruct the Department of Defense to develop a new set of policies and strategies that will articulate a long-term strategic trajectory that repositions South African National Defence Force as a strong, resilient force with enhanced military capabilities, firepower, combat readiness, capable of emerging strategic environment, and specifically positions South African National Defence Force appropriately in respect of emergent regional dynamics. So the above policy strategy review processes did culminate in 3 key documents: the future defense capstone, the military capstone, and a future military capstone. And these documents are currently under consideration. Meanwhile, the South African National Council also was directed its secretariat to develop a report on the South African Defense Review 2015 to consider or to make considerations for investing a sustainable modern defense force. Chairperson, now turning to the budget. This Department of Defense for the financial year 2025-2026 has received a total budget of 57,103 billion, and this budget, 36 billion thereof, has been set aside as a ceiling for compensation of employees, which constitutes 64% of the defense allocation. Furthermore, in addition to this 36 billion, about 8.3 billion has been allocated as follows. More than 2.7 billion is for accommodation, for leases and municipal services. More than 2.5 billion is for peacekeeping. 1.4 billion is going to AMSCO as transfers. 487 million goes to the Republic's assets contributing to SADC and peacekeeping processes. 480 million for the repair and maintenance of defense system. 300 million for day-to-day maintenance and the emergency repairs, and 200 million for the procurement of vehicles and technology for border safeguarding, which leaves us only with 12 billion of the defense force to meet all our other constitutional mandates. Chair, but in spite of our ongoing financial constraints, which badly affects our planning and operations, we will continue to reprioritize and do more with the little that we have received or which is at our disposal. And this, amongst others, will include ensuring that our soldiers are properly equipped with uniforms, boots, protective gear, habitable facilities, catering for the needs of all, including women soldiers and persons with disability. Selected model units will receive priority upgrades, ensuring safety and security, well-maintained bases, sports and recreational facilities, and the training areas. And soldiers that are deployed will also get priority support for all their needs during deployment. Efforts, Chair, are underway to renovate our human resource capital profile by modernizing it, maintaining and repairing also all our prime mission equipment, overhaul our prime mission equipment as the key national defense partner. Chair, we are also working hard to make sure that we resuscitate the South African Defense Force industry to really partner with us. The Department of Defense Human Resources Expenditure Framework reflects a deliberate phased approach to sustaining a capable, young, and cost-effective defense force within existing budgetary constraints. The prioritized interventions are focused on aligning our organizational structure within the level of defense ambition, optimizing the workforce composition through targeted recruitment and remastering strategies, managing the reserve force as a strategic surge capability, and restoring expenditure discipline to bring COE expenditure in line with fiscal realities. Chair, I cannot overemphasize the importance of ensuring effective governance and accountability of the entire defense force, and this priority reiterates the requirement for effective governance and accountability within the defense force to ensure departmental legislative compliance. This will ensure a modern, effective, resilient, and sustainable South African defense force capacitated to execute mandated commitments. Procurement and human resources irregularities will be addressed through strengthened internal controls, transparent system, regulatory oversight. The department recognizes that effective resource management depends on the modernization of our administrative departmental processes, hence the project that we have on digitizing our systems within the department, which is underway. Together with these efforts, Chair, we wish to restore public trust, improve departmental effectiveness, and ensure that the Department of Defense can fulfill its constitutional mandate to protect the Republic of South Africa while supporting the broader national strategic priorities to build a capable, ethical, and developmental state. On the other hand, our primary focus of government is sustainable and rapid growth of the economy and removing all obstacles that stand on the way of growth. Concomitantly, Defense will work hard to contribute to this objective by repositioning the South African Defense Force industry study to pursue strategic goal of economic growth and job creation. In particular, the department will focus on the following interventions: to develop a defense industry sector plan as a component of national industrial policy action, defense industry strategy that indicates how the department intends to maintain and develop industry capabilities that are essential to its strategic capital acquisition, and also defense public-private partnership policy and strategy in alignment with the national framework, including developing the necessary nodal point and process thereof. In this regard, SADC must be positioned as a very important asset, ready for expansion to drive national development and support government priorities for a capable state and becoming a strong local defense industry that creates jobs, develops technologies, and ensures that South African National Defense Force is well equipped. So cooperation with DENEL, local companies, and international partners will be expanded to boost export and attract investment. And the centrality of DENEL is very critical in the maintenance and support of South African National Defense Force. Chair, again, repositioning AMSCO as an entity of the South African National Defense Force for equipment and capability modernization will be intensified to make sure that maintenance, repairs, overhaul for midlife upgrades and modernization of our prime equipment is guaranteed the longevity and mission effectiveness for our Defense Force. And it has nothing to do with requirements. Yeah, requirements are on mute. Let me look at the military ombudsman. The military ombudsman continues to be an important instrument for civil-military relations and civil oversight, as well as promoting good labor. We can announce that we will be hosting the conference on ombuds institutions on the 8th and 9th of October this year. And indeed, we're looking forward to receiving all other ombuds from other provinces, learning and contributing towards them. The Castle Control Board also continues to excel on the global heritage and memorization scene, utilizing the Castle of Good Hope as a symbol of understanding, education, healing, and nation building. And it has gained steady strides as a world-renowned heritage site under UNESCO. And the Defense Force Service Commission Chair, we are looking at this mandate to make sure that we are compliant, and in view of the new recognition of the unions in the Defense Force, it's also very important to also relook at their mandate. Chair, turning to the military veterans, this department derives its mandates from the Military Veterans Act, which requires us to provide policy and standards on socio-economic support for military veterans and their dependents, including benefits and entitlements to help realize a dignified, unified, empowered, and self-sufficient community of military veterans. The budget for the department for this year amounts to 878 million, and we wish to acknowledge the support that we're receiving from the presidency because of ongoing challenges in that sense, and want to take this opportunity to express our heartfelt condolences at the passing of the first chairperson of the presidential task team, Deputy President Mabuza, who gave a very valuable guidance in ensuring that pension benefits for military veterans are dispersed And we can say that since 2023, more than 437 military veterans have been provided at the cost of more than 217 million. Through the Deputy Minister, we have established a transversal team to assist the department to unlock the ongoing challenges faced by the department. So the database work stream of the Presidential Task Team is currently in process of verifying military veterans across the country, having resumed to the Northwest. They're currently in the Free State, and they'll be visiting all different provinces. And parallel to that process is a verification of those that are already in the database to cleanse the database and ensure its integrity. So in collaboration with sister departments, Chair, we have embarked on a project to repatriate the remains of fallen heroes. And I can quickly run also to some of the benefits because I can see I've run out of time, that we have allocated money for the education benefits of veterans. We have allocated money also as we've indicated, also for all the different socio-economic needs of the veterans. The unaudited information of 2024 financial year indicates that 7,738 learners and students are provided with education support and continue their studies. To date, we have a number of them who have graduated. But in terms of the overall budget, the national notes the department tends to intensify the rollout of military veterans pension with the aim of reaching 9,600 deserving military veterans and who are dependent on this grant. In accordance with Section 3 of the Military Veterans Act, the means tense will be applied to ensure that this benefit is directed only towards deserving veterans because of the financial pressures that we are receiving. Chair, let me take this opportunity to really thank members of the Portfolio Committee for ongoing support, also members of the department that also have been providing support. So chairs, I really want to thank you most sincerely for the engagements and the guidance and the support that we've been getting from yourself, especially around issues of the budget. And I can say the total allocation that has been given to the military veterans, 63% of it is allocated and earmarked for the disbursement of the benefits of military veterans, so that on this minus 100, only 27% will go to administration and staff, but 63% of the money allocated to us does go to the benefits of the military veterans. Chair, let me take this opportunity by presenting the 2025 Defense and Military Veterans budget of 58 billion for votes 23 and 26. I want to thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. I will now recognize Honorable Lekgote.
Thank you very much, Honorable House Chair. I would not go through the protocol, but acknowledge it as acknowledged by the Chair, by the House Chair, and greetings to all honorable members present here and the Chair. I would start where I normally start, that the state exists for three reasons. Any state loses legitimacy and credibility if it can't provide these 3 points. The first one is that the state must feed its people. The second one is that the state must develop its people. The third one is that the state must defend its people. All nations throughout the world are jacking up their budget to the GDP to defend their people, because a state can lose legitimacy once it can't defend its people. That's the spirit that I would want us to understand why we support this budget vote. We support it for the reason that we cannot allow or run a defenseless state or a defenseless country. I address you today with a sense of collective duty as South Africans to uplift, uphold, and protect our gains as a nation. Work for us by a generation who sacrificed all for justice and freedom through their unyielding faith in a better future for their children. They created the conditions that saw a constitution take shape. Today we enjoy freedoms, rights, protections under the law, thanks to the constitution and the sacrifice of this generation. Our constitution holds us together as a nation, and we must do everything we can to ensure that we retain an attitude of difference to it, valuing it, implementing it, and protecting it. It is in us protecting it that our National Defence Force plays an indispensable role. Without our defence force, we would not have the capabilities to back up our claims as a nation with force, if necessary, in a highly volatile world where the global geopolitics are unstable. This military backup must be in place as we advance in all other areas, for without it, all other areas could slip away in an instant. Whether it's economic growth, whether it's education, whether it's health, whether it's peace and stability, all of it, you can't experience it, including job creation, without a proper security, because nobody will bring their investment in a country which is not safe or which is defenseless. We stand for and do the pride of a sovereign nation. Our freedom has been hard-won, and we are honor-bound to defend it. The South African National Defence Force is impelled by Section 200, subsection 2 of the Constitution, to be the guardians of our sovereignty, protecting it, including our territorial integrity. This is not an abstract mandate. It affects every aspect of our development. We therefore need to ensure that, as in all other areas of our progress as a nation, our defense force is kept up in a tip-top conditions, well-resourced, properly structured, and fully prepared to navigate the complex security challenges that constantly arise in the world and in our region. We cannot allow fiscal challenges to undermine capacity of this crucial institution in our democratic order. Whether you like it or not, the whole of Europe moved their budget from 2% of the GDP to 5% as a result of the developments in Tehran and Tel Aviv recently. It's only us here who have not kept up to our commitment. Our budget of the National Defence Force, it's still 0.7% to the GDP. Other nations have moved even up to 5%, when most of the European Union nations. So we need to do something as a nation now, leave any other allegiances or political affiliations and focus on national security. Therefore, honorable members, let us view our Defence Force proposed budget for what it is, a strategic expenditure that protects our nation in a multitude of ways, apart from defending our borders and thus the values of enshrined in the Constitution. It helps to ensure the regional stability, without which there can be little internal stability. What happens across the borders directly affects us. It also offers a crucial backup for internal emergencies beyond our scope of other state departments. The budget for 2025-2026 financial year is currently 57 billion rand. This represents a 1.6 real term decrease from our previous year, which is hardly ideal if you have to compare our budget with our counterparts globally. The Portfolio Committee has engaged extensively with National Treasury, the Department of Defense, Arms Corps, the NEL, on the risk caused by underfunding and an agency of prioritizing defense in our national budget so that the South African National Defence Force does not lose its capabilities. We cannot allow the Defence Force, already under pressure on various kinds, to decline. Currently, the South African National Defence Force faces a challenge of aging equipment, limited funds to procure new equipments. This results in serious challenges. You could see recently with how we failed on the floods of Mtata as a National Defence Force. The South African National Defence Force requires long-term fiscal certainty to do the necessary strategic planning, especially given the complexity of the military procurement and development project. The South African National Defence Force is also a rapidly aging force, and this has been identified by the committee as a key area of intervention, along with concerns around the high portfolio proportions of spending and compensation of employees. Concrete discussions are underway between the committee, National Treasury, and the department to develop a rejuvenation plan that will give more young South Africans a chance to be in the South African National Defence Force while carefully managing the opportunities for aging soldiers. Honorable members, as we have been in conflicts around the world, the modern battlefield has evolved. It is important that we have a SANDF that is agile and technologically advanced so that we may respond effectively to cyber and information warfare. The complexities of technological battlefield and deal effectively with an increasing number of climate-induced crises. The committee has called for an urgent conclusion of the executive withdrawal in all reconsidering 2015 defense review. The committee called for an urgent finalization of the defense capstone policy document. The committee has also called for Armsco and Denel to jack up their business. The committee is also calling for Armsco, Denel, and the Department of Defense to deal with issues of procurement so that we can properly arm the nation and be combat ready in terms of any attack of insurrection, of civil disobedience, or even a possible civil war. We must be combat ready, and that can only be achieved once the Defense Force and the Armsco and the Denel have jacked up their business. We also have to ensure that we finalize the database verification of the military veterans. It's now 14 years that we are doing the same thing without any progress. The committee is calling that we finalize that database verification so that all deserving military veterans can get their benefits and ensure that they live normally, because any nation that cannot recognize those who sacrificed and contributed to its nationhood does not deserve a future, because those military veterans can be turned into mercenaries that can attack our social stability, our peace and stability, if we're not going to take care of them. So it's incumbent upon us as a nation to pay our allegiance
Honorable
and respect
Lekgote,
to these honorable
your time is
military
expired.
veterans. As the committee, we support the budget vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. I'll now recognize Honorable Nchingila.
Honorable House Chairperson, would like to extend our heartfelt condolences to the family and comrades of former Deputy President David Mabuza. As Umkhonto Wesizwe Party, we once again express our unwavering support to Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi for the selfless service that he's doing for this nation. This vote, as presented, is not aligned with the age and development needs of our country. It fails to directly confront the critical issues of the welfare of former armed freedom fighters and our national security. And once again, it exposes a systematic failure of a state in retreat from its constitutional obligations. The South African citizens are not simply demanding better service delivery. They are demanding a call to economic justice, dignity, and inclusion. Yet what is presented here is a plan of paralysis, not one of progress. Our defense force stands on the brink not due to external threats, but in collapse of patriotic morality and consciousness. The GNU continues to persist an illusion while denying a reality where our soldiers are underfunded and the defense equipment are rusting in the Navy and the Air Force. Therefore, we have observed that the South African National Defence Force spending has dropped to 0.7% of the GDP, down from the 1.5% in the late 1990s, hemorrhaging capacity while neighboring states surged ahead. Of our 4 frigates, only 1 remains operational, and we've lost capacity in submarines, aircraft, and the helicopters due to lack of maintenance and funding. The public refuses to ignore the DRC disaster, where the South African National Defence Force soldiers died in underprepared, under-equipped missions, exposing diplomatic ambitions as hollow rhetoric. Denial was once our industrial backbone in defense is bleeding. It received 3.4 billion in bailouts by March 2024, yet 900 million remains frozen, tied behind the unmet conditions. Most funds are serving debts, not renewal. Project Hofmeyer Badge AFV initiative collapsed. After scrapping delivery of 264 vehicles, only 88 are planned with no single unit delivered by end of 2024. Let's call this budget vote what it is, a Defense Abandonment Act, not new defense review, no white paper roadmap, just a rolling collapse in real time. We'll no longer stand by as our forces decay while the president plane takes off and SAA Air Forces planes are grounded and our frigates rust in dock. Our soldiers deserve respect, not excuses. They deserve maintenance, not misdirection. They deserve dignity, not diplomatic bureaucracy. The DMV's failure to maintain credible, updated database of veterans is equally alarming. Without a clean database, fraud risk increases, benefits are delayed, and dignity is denied. Despite repeated promises, the department still has not fully digitized the verification at the Veterans Registry. Even more concerning is that the department's failure to settle payments to educational institutions on time, putting the future of students at risk. And one is of the belief that the DA-led GNU is adamant in making sure that South Africans suffer further humiliation through budget allocations. The Auditor General's office has flagged fruitless and wasteful expenditure, weak internal controls, and delays in payments across the departments. The DMV, for instance, paid only 66% of legitimate invoices within 30 days in 2023-24 financial year. This contravenes the Public Financial Management Act. Where is the accountability and where is consequence management? These failures are not isolated incidents. They are part of a wider crisis of state capability, where these departments are failing to spend efficiently, failing to meet targets, and failing to inspire trust, and evidently failing to deliver services to the people as enshrined in the Constitution of the Republic. House Chairperson, one of the most unacceptable failures of this vote is the continued exclusion of women and persons with disabilities. The DMV, there is no dedicated gender-responsive budget framework. Despite lofty language, only a fraction of pensioners and beneficiaries are women. The representation of women at SMS level is set to decline to 50%, rather than increasing as expected. The Defense Department does not even disaggregate key performance indicators by gender or disability status. It is as if these groups are invisible to the system, as if this government is serious about transformation, then it must practice gender equality and inclusive delivery. The budget allocation indicates that DMV will spend 149.5 million, nearly 17% of its total budget, on compensation of employees, while it is failing to finalize a veterans database, deliver houses on time, or improve audit outcomes. Meanwhile, the Department of Defense spends billions on international operations, external missions, and denial oversight, yet we see no integration with civilians' departmental priorities. Why are we not retraining military personnel to participate in disaster response, school safety, rural infrastructure, and climate mitigation efforts? This budget could could have been a vehicle for justice, dignity, and development. Instead, it is a missed opportunity bloated on bureaucracy, stuffed of vision, and blind to the suffering of the ordinary people. Military veterans are not just beneficiaries, but they are symbols of sacrifice. What is crystal clear in this budget is it disrespects their contribution, their selfless contribution. Our defense force is not just a military entity, rather a tool for peace, development, and inclusion, which this budget ignores blatantly. We are on the same channel. The budget lacks meat, the budget lacks hydration, that's why we are thirsty. Therefore, as MK Party, we reject this budget in its current form, not because we do not support our soldiers and veterans, but we do so because we refuse to endorse a system that prides itself with failing our veterans and our people. South Africans deserve a better budget that fights poverty, not just wars, a budget that builds homes, not just barracks, and a budget that restores hope, not bureaucracy. And I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. I hope Honorable Shelembo, you also have a bottle of water because our members today seem to be very thirsty. Thank you. You can take the points.
Chairperson, the DMV derives mandate from the Military Veterans Act number 18 of 2011, which aims to provide fundamental principles recognized by the state as governing the affairs of the military veterans and for policy objectives and in this regard. After 14 years of having this act in place, this department is yet to implement its mandate to deliver benefits to the deserving military veterans and their dependents. The Act clearly stipulates its aim of providing the national policy and standard on socio-economic support to military veterans and their dependents, including benefits and entitlement to help realize a dignified and self-sufficient community of military veterans. Sadly, the military veterans are still not treated with dignity they deserve due to the failure by the Minister of Defense and Military Veterans and the President Ramaphosa, the patron-in-chief. Honorable Speaker, it is disgraceful that both of them remain unserious in ensuring that a dignified and self-sufficient community of military veterans is achieved. Honorable Speaker, Chairperson, the Minister's forward highlighted that the history of the DMV is characterized by weak legislation and leadership instability. This itself tells us that the DMV is not ready to deliver dignified services to deserving military veterans. The question we ask ourselves, for how long has this department been in crisis, plagued by leadership instability and operational inefficiencies? The simple answer is since 2011, 14 years, yet no improvement. Honorable Speaker, as I speak now, military veterans are crying. They sleep in unsafe shacks. Some have not had food in the last 2 days or more. Speaker, imagine if your loved ones died because the minister and the president with the presidential task team are failing to realize the dignified life of military veterans. The presidential task team, minister and the DMV officials have food on their table whilst our men and women who dedicated lives protecting this country and its citizens are starving to death. Ulambisa omakade bona kuyisono esikhulu phambi kwaNkulunkulu. These men and women left their families, dedicated their time and risked their lives to defend and protect the Republic and its people in accordance with the Constitution of the country. Today, they are yet to receive a comprehensive support such as pensions, houses, access to health services, education, burial support, subsidized public transport, facilitation of employment placement, and facilitation of business opportunities. To date, this department has not finalized the national database for military veterans. Provincial offices are still not fully functional. The call center is non-operational. Military veterans receive no reply within 30 days to acknowledge receipt of their applications. And in Q3 in 2024, the department only delivered 37 houses against a target of 225. As the DA, we fully recognize all military veterans who render their service to any of the recognized military organizations, former special forces and non-special forces who were involved on all sides of the South African Liberation War from 1906 to 1904. Speaker, Chairperson, I'm elated that pressure from the Democratic Alliance during the Sixth administration led to the promulgation of the long-awaited pension regulations for the military veterans, resulting in pension payments now being rolled out. But we are still not happy about the slow pace of the JIPA in verifying and paying to military veterans. We remain unhappy about the budget allocated to pension payouts. This budget will be depleted before the financial year, which will have serious implications on the lives of military veterans and their dependents. The DA will, in this 7th administration, put pressure on minister to implement these benefits as we did on pension benefit. Chairperson, while the challenges facing our military veterans are grave and dangerous, undermines our nation's security, I stand here with hope and determination. The DA remains unwavering in its commitment to fight for the dignity, rights, and well-being of every military veteran who made the ultimate sacrifice for the great nation. Ngifuna ukucaca ukuthi ukuthi uma kuwukuthi ke lolu daba
Honorable
uMinista
Shelembe.
akasumeli.
Your time has
Akasumeli.
expired.
Ngiyabonga Minister kodwa uzosukumela.
Siyabonga. I'll recognize Honorable Niehaus.
House Chairperson, honourable members, the EFF rejects the 2025-26 budget for the Department of Defence and Military Veterans. Allocated 57 billion for defence and a paltry 878 million for military veterans, this budget betrays our soldiers, veterans and national security. It prioritizes international debt repayments over the dignity of those who defend our sovereignty. Where is our defence strategy? The 2015 Defence Review, meant to modernize the SANDF, lies unimplemented, gathering dust a decade later. The Minister of Defence and Military Veterans keeps on promising Parliament the so-called Journey to Greatness strategy document, which remains conspicuously absent. One more reason alongside her overall incompetence why she must be relieved of her duties by the President. The now critical to defence is in administrative crisis. Failing to present annual reports or financial statements, exposing systemic failures, Armscor continues to fail the SANDF as its main service provider and procurement agency. The disaster at Armscor Simontown Dockyard underscores this neglect. The EFF demands a national defence summit to update the 2015 Defence Review and forge a 10-year plan for a capable defence force. The budget reveals neglect. Defence's increase to 57 billion is a 717 million real cut, taking inflation into consideration. Air defence, maritime capabilities, and landward operations are critically underfunded. Our borders are exposed, our skies vulnerable, our seas open to piracy. When floods struck the Eastern Cape, our grounded Air Force couldn't respond, a dreadful symbol of decline and betrayal of the flood victims. The return of 2 billion to the treasury of the SAMI-DRC withdrawal is indefensible. This could have restored Air Force flight hours or border security drones. Instead, it now services international debt that was recklessly incurred by an irresponsible Minister of Finance, leaving our soldiers with outdated gear. The SAMI-DRC mission that costed 23 lives since December 2023 due to inadequate resources shows the peril of underfunded deployments. The EFF certainly supports peacekeeping, but only with proper funding and strategy. The military veterans budget of 878 million is shameful, barely exceeding inflation. It serves only 20% of all military veterans, delivering 500 houses against what is actually a 2,000 backlog and healthcare for a fraction. Corruption, including millions of rands for an unnecessary and pathetically and embarrassingly incompetent Deputy Minister Richard Tlhophe, cripples this department. The EFF demands a 2 billion budget for the DMV, but then it must be placed under PFMA Section 100 administration, and the incompetent DMV Acting Director General, Ms. Nontobeko Mafu, must be suspended and charged in order to eliminate corruption. Our proposed budget will deliver 1,000 houses, 25,000 pensions, healthcare for 30,000 veterans, and 4,000 jobs. The EFF opposes any funding for the Castle Control Board, which maintains the colonial relic of the Castle of Good Hope. No overstretched defense budget should support such symbols of oppression, nor should the castle be proposed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. We reject celebrating colonial legacies. The EFF envisions a defense budget of 114 billion, allocating 30 billion to the Army for border patrols, 20 billion to the Air Force for helicopters, 15 billion to the Navy for frigate upgrades, and 10 billion to refurbish one military hospital, altogether creating 22,000 jobs. For veterans, 2 billion would clear backlogs and deliver benefits, restoring their dignity. Madam Speaker, this budget is a national disgrace. It fails our soldiers, veterans, and our whole nation. In addition, we continue to shamefully sell weapons and ammunition to NATO countries that transfer those arms onto apartheid Israel to continue to commit genocide in Gaza. The EFF rejects all of this mess with the utter contempt that it deserves. Demanding a defense summit, a strategic overhaul, urgent action to fix Denel's and Arms Corps' failures, and 1.5% of GDP for defense. We owe those who serve, and especially those liberation heroes who served, a capable SANDF and a Department of Military Veterans that delivers justice and security to our nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I will now recognize Honorable Nkosi Bekhulu.
Bonge ithuba sihlalo wendlu.
Okay, honorable members, okay.
Simi lapha kule mihla kungenxa yamaphutha eminyaka engamashumi amathathu eyedlule. Lapho khona bangena emandleni bayitshela ukuthi azikho izitha eNingizimu Afrika, angeke sibe nazo inselelo. Ngaleyo ndlela kwancunzwa kwehliswa isabelo mali sombutho okuholele kulezi inselelo umnyango olahlekelwe umkhondo osukukuzo. Ukuvulwa kwemingcele yezwe la South Africa ngenye inkinga noma izinto ezibangele ukuba sibe nalezi inselelo ezikhona. Kuyadabukisa ke nokho ukuthi ukho konke sekwenziwe umnyango ungabi nakho ukuyikhandla nokunakekela ube nonembeza ukubhekela abafowethu abanikela ngempilo yabo ukuzabalazela ukuba likhululeke izwe lakithi. We remain deeply concerned about the deteriorating state of South African National Defence Force. Our air and naval capabilities are near collapse. Helicopters and fighter jets are so old that they must be stripped for parts just to stay airworthy. Inhlekelele imvula ezehle Eastern Cape ikubonakalisile lokho kwembulwe izinqe umnyango wabamba uyeka ohlelweni lokuthi kusizakale abafowethu nodadewethu abehlele inhlekelele ezikhukhula. Our naval submarines are inoperative. Our warships are immobilized. It is an open secret that our maritime borders from Mozambique to Namibia are largely unprotected. This negligence has allowed foreign vessels to overfish in our waters, suffocating the potential of local fishing companies, especially small and medium entrants to fishing or in the fishing industry. The reality is that our soldiers were left under-resourced in the DRC, forced to surrender, not because of a lack of courage or will, but because they lacked basic supplies. This is a national disgrace and a direct result of poor planning and misplaced priorities. A large share of the budget continues to go towards personal cost. While we must honor those in uniform, the current wage-heavy structure is unsustainable. The department faces an urgent need to rejuvenate its leadership and ranks. An aging command must create space for younger entrants to bring in energy, agility, and modern warfare tactics. Yet, there is no clear succession on rejuvenation in our sight. Furthermore, the living conditions of our soldiers, particularly in Pretoria, remain deplorable. A country that cannot house its soldiers with dignity is not one that values their sacrifice. We call for an urgent refurbishment of military residences and acceleration of procurement processes to equip our forces adequately. The budget vote should reflect our national gratitude. However, veterans still suffer from delayed benefits, limited access to health care, and exclusion from economic opportunities. The IFP accepts the budget vote and will continue to monitor, question, and propose solutions. We stand not in opposition to Department of Defense and military veterans, but as a voice demanding that this budget delivers real security, real dignity, and real outcome. Nhlonishwa ngqongqoshe, kuyadabukisa la khona ukuthi abakhulu bombuso emnyangweni bahlale befuthwe ngama-aircon umakhaza uyashisa ema-ofisini abo, uyashisa phandle kuyabanda ema-ofisini abo, kodwa bebengakwazi ukunakekela iy'dingo zezwe. Izwe lakithi lisenhlekeleleni. Uma singahlaselwa noma yiliphi izwe namhlanje kulo ma-ISIS okukhulunywa ngawo kule mihla, ngokusobala bofike belithathe izwe, bonke la bantu abala endlini, bonke la bantu abaphandle boba imhambuma ezweni lawo isekhulu nokhokho babo. Kuhle-ke sigcizelela khona ukuthi siyaseka ngoba siyafisa ukuthi akwenziwe okuhle kuyosiza izwe lakithi likhululeke kulobu bugqila nokuyithwala ngethokoza.
Thank you, Honorable Nkosi. I will now recognize Honorable Van Wyk.
Cheers. Honorable House Chair, honorable members, honorable Minister, fellow South Africans. House Chair, today I'm not going to come and stand here and come and repeat all the previous speakers that have spoken here before me. Even those that will come after me and come and speak the same thing. No, I'm going to come and speak about the uncomfortable truth. The military veterans that the South African National Defence Force did not want it to take in to the new army in 1996. Because this man and woman was taken in by the older party government in 1982 to become the South African Cape Corps, which we call the SAKAKA. Die colored man en vrouwens was ingeneem en hulle gaan beklei aan die verkeerde kant van die oorlog. Hulle was die manne en vrouwens wat voorgestaan het by die ou army wat gaan beklei het teen Umkhonto weSizwe. Binnekant, nie Umkhonto weSizwe nie. Nie Umkhonto weSizwe nie. By the way, the SAKAKA het daar gaan beklei. And ever since, it's the debate, Chief. It's the debate. Also, can you protect me here quickly? Die SAKK het dag en beklei. En tot en met vandag toe het hulle nog nooit hulle se military benefits gekry nie. Toe president Mandela oorgevat het in 1994, het hy gepraat van reconciliation. MK was ingeneem, APLA was ingeneem, even die wittes wat deel gewees het van die ou apartheid army, hulle was ook ingeneem. Hulle wat gekom het met strategie en taktieke om ons mense dood te maak in exile, hulle was ingeneem, maar nie die SAKK nie. Hoekom nie? Omdat hulle kleurlinge is. That's a certain type of hatred towards colors in this country. They were never taken in. So, even die mense in Platfontein, hulle was die spoorsneier, die spoorsneiers van SAKK in die ou armeen. Hulle sit nou nog in Platfontein in. Daar was net huise vir hulle gebou. Daar was nie service delivery aan hulle te gee nie. Minister, u weet daarvan. Onze military veterans van die SAKK geniet nie aandag in die lande nie. Die DA, so honorable member kom staan nou hierso en hy sê dat die DA is baie committed om te kan veg vir die military veteran. Julle, as die DA is nou al seker 19 of 20 jaar in parlement in, julle het nog nooit niks gesê van die SAKK nie. Die DA is sleg. ANC, Basil February, Ashley Creel, Connie Williams, Anton French, hulle was allemaal deel van Umkhonto weSizwe. Basil February was die eerste sogenaamde kleurling wat doodgeskiet gewees het in combat. Maar nou nog, hulle het nog nooit gegaan na hulle se families toe nie. Waar is hulle se families? Moet hulle dan nie na gekyk word nie? Moet hulle dan nie dink, jy lieg, minister, jy lieg. Jy lieg. Jy soek nie die SAKK nie, minister.
Honorable Van Wyk.
The patriotic alliance
Van
support
Wyk.
the vote of 23 and
Honorable
26
Van Wyk.
vir julle dop ons bysa nie. Dankie.
Honorable Van Wyk, don't leave. Yes, I've been calling out your name because I wanted you to withdraw that honorable members are lying. It is unparliamentary to say that, and it is in the rules book that we were all given that it is unparliamentary to call honorable members liars. So please withdraw that.
Honorable House Chairperson, I was called out a liar here. You did not hear.
No,
But
honorable
I
Van
will
Wyk,
go unconditionally, House Chairperson.
thank you very much.
I will go.
Thank you.
But
No, you were done, you were moving.
no, I was not done. I have 25 seconds left.
But I called you back. You were done, I called you back. Unless you still
Okay.
want to speak, you can proceed. You still have 25 seconds.
Thank you, House Chairperson. House Chairperson, the Honorable Minister came and she stood here and she said that there is a budget for military veterans and they will focus on Northwest and the Free State. Honorable Minister, the majority of the SAKK military veterans is based in the Western Cape and Northern Cape. Vir wie gaan soek jy daar so in die Northwestern? The Patriotic Alliance support this budget of 23 and 26. Maar ons bysa nie, ons kan vir hulle dop. Salute.
Thank you. Your time has expired. I will now recognize honorable vessels.
Thank you, Honourable House Chairperson. House Chair, the Honourable Legoit is correct that a state's legitimacy depends on its ability to defend its people, and that we cannot allow a defenseless state. The Minister, with all due respect, stood here today and used a lot of buzzwords. Beautiful words. Words like accountability, sustainable and effective defense force, regulatory oversight, removing all obstacles, repositioning, restoring trust, and a defense review. That last one we've heard a lot. But to articulate the reality of the South African military is not using buzzwords. Those words are the reality out there, and that is ill discipline, misconduct, unpaid troops, under-resourced, missing billions, missing firearms, luxury vehicles procured, incapable, disaster, fiscal dumping, incompetence, outdated, mess, failure, rogue units, rogue generals, lack of leadership, and a downward spiral. Honorable House Chairperson, the Minister is correct that there's severe financial constraints, that there's a shortage in this budget to actually resource the military to be able to defend South Africa and the people effectively. But whilst that is the case, it does not currently occur that these little resources and these little funds are utilized effectively. The contrary. And if the Honourable Minister wants to effect a turnaround of the South African military and the South African National Defence Force, the only thing that should be done and that should have been said here today is that the Minister takes responsibility, that she condones those efforts to install consequence management, and that she condemns there where generals are misusing funds, where luxury vehicles are procured whilst troops does not have uniforms, where whilst there's no equipment and a shortage of the necessary resources. That is what the political head of the Defence Force should do, is stand here and condemn the procurement of unnecessary luxuries. But we never hear that, Honourable Chairperson. To restore trust requires transparency. Then the Honourable Minister must release the Moorhouse report. That will restore trust in the South African military and defence force. Without doing that, it will remain an ineffective, failed entity, and it will remain a defence force which is and will remain the laughing stock of the world. We cannot defend our borders, our integrity, and our sovereignty whilst that is what is occurring in the Defence Force, money that is misused. And we call on you, Honourable Minister, to act and to instill consequences and to condemn those actions.
We invite the Honourable Ngobeni.
Can I? You know, it's tough to come after so many jokes. Good morning to the honorable members. I think before I start, I want to salute the men and women who we see at the back there. We want to salute you because you are brave. We want to salute you because you deserve our full support. And you deserve a budget that is worthy of your sacrifices. And you remain a source of our national pride. Unfortunately, this is a budget of betrayal, and Action SA rejects the defense surrender. I warned the minister during the July 2024 budget deliberations that without urgent reforms, South Africa's defense capability was at risk. And the Deputy Minister confirmed our worst fears, admitting that we may not be able to defend our nation against real threats. This is a budget of betrayal, and Action SA rejects the defense surrender. We're told that this budget increases by 3%, yet in real terms, it shrinks by 1.6% after inflation. What is good about a bigger number if its buying power is eroded? Our Air Force Gripens stand stripped for parts. Waterkloof Hercules aircrafts gather dust. This is a budget of betrayal, and Action SA rejects the defense surrender. Force employment, which is the backbone of operations, is slashed by over 1.5 billion, a 20% cut, while troops guard borders at Musina and face violent threats in Mozambique. The DRC withdrawal is painted as realignment, but in reality, it's retreat dressed up as strategy. This is a budget of betrayal, and Action SA rejects the defense surrender. Meanwhile, our Navy ships sit docked, unable to protect vital sea lanes. Illegal fishing and piracy thrive unchecked. Cyber defenses, critical today, remain only a theory because there is no money to fund them. Yet 101 million will be wasted on travel and 60 million on advertising. The real enemy is within: misallocation, mismanagement, ministerial vanity. The department's strategic plan offers no real answers, no bold reform to fix the bloated wage bill, strangling operations. Young recruits, drone pilots, cyber specialists are shut out while the old soldier for life doctrine drags us down. The long ignored 2015 defense review gathers dust. The so-called journey to greatness remains secret. Soldiers guard border fences with rusted rifles and dry fuel tanks, while leadership hides behind paperwork, far from the front line. Let us be clear. This budget does not secure South Africa. It signals surrender. It does not reform. It delays collapse. This is a budget of betrayal, and Action SA rejects the defense surrender. Before I step down, let me close as I began, by saluting the men and women of the Defense Force. You stand as a source of national pride and discipline, and yet you're often left to fend for yourself by those who stand behind you. May we find the courage to match your sacrifices with real action. Thank you. Action SA rejects this budget.
Honorable the Deputy Minister of Defense and Military Veterans, General Olomisa, it's your opportunity to take the debate forward.
Our Honorable House Chair, Honorable Minister of Defense and Military Veterans, my colleague, Deputy Minister Mkungo, honorable members of the Portfolio Committee and Joint Standing Committee on Defense, leadership of the Department of Defense and South African National Defense Force, distinguished guests and fellow South Africans. There is no doubt that when we entered this department as the executive, alongside the new members of the Portfolio Committee on Joint Standing Committee on Defense and Military Veterans, respectively, we hit the ground running. The common denominator of our engagements has been our collective determination to confront the negative legacies we all inherited. In doing so, we have taken time to understand the depth of the challenges. This journey has not been about assigning blame, but about reclaiming direction. That is why we are actively engaging with the Audit Committee on the Auditor General's report and its recommendations, particularly in addressing the adverse audit outcomes of the past 4 years. Our focus includes resolving procurement irregularities, establishing a credible and verifiable asset register in line with the audit action plans, and tackling several other long-standing issues that have hampered effective governance
Across our communities, the people of this country have grown increasingly concerned about the state of our national security. Many have questioned why our soldiers are deployed on external missions while internal threats continue to escalate. In this financial year, we must, in partnership with Parliament, take a strategic decision on how our military can enhance internal security in line with the constitutional mandate of the Republic of South Africa. Part of that decision must involve a thorough assessment of whether we have appropriate equipment and capabilities to respond effectively to emerging threats, including those posed by natural disasters. South Africa continues to receive many people who come in search of better opportunities, education, and improved livelihoods. While we remain committed to regional solidarity, the ease with which people move across borders within the SADC region demands our collective attention. This is not a challenge South Africa can address alone. The South African government must elevate this issue with SADC structures to promote a coordinated and regional aligned approach to immigration. People from Europe, Asia, and the broader African diaspora also move freely across our borders. And increasingly, we find ourselves sharing limited resources without harmonized policy framework. This matter must be addressed not in isolation, but through regional cooperation that ensures migration is managed fairly. Yes, the security of this country has not been sufficiently prioritized in the past. And this poses a threat not only to our national safety, but also to our economy. That era must come to an end. The time has come to place security and the fight against corruption at the heart of our national agenda. The Defense Department itself has not escaped the tentacles of state capture. Some individuals are already before the courts. The Special Investigating Unit is investigating others. Even a former minister stands accused in this department. But we must be clear. Fighting corruption is not the sole responsibility of the South African Police Service. It is a collective obligation for all of us who still believe in a safe, ethical, and democratic South Africa. Let us be honest, the allocation of 57 billion rands is not a symbol of national generosity. It is a strategic lifeline, a signal to our people and to the world that South Africa still values the defense of its people and the preservation of its democratic order. Chairperson, the integration of the...
Deputy Minister, your time has expired.
Okay, yeah, undipange nyimeni sana.
Order, honorable members. Honorable Swart, it's your opportunity to speak.
Thank you, House Chair. House Chair, the ACDP believes that blessed be the peacemakers, for they will be called sons of God. Peacemaking and peace enforcement are important mandates of the SANDF. We are thus grateful that our troops have returned safely from the DRC deployment, whilst still mourning the loss of 23 brave soldiers since 2023. We too wish to thank and salute all members of the Defence Force, the generals that are here, who are prepared to pay the ultimate sacrifice, giving their lives for the constitutional cause of defending South Africa and defending their fellow troops. At the same time, we also believe that the art of diplomacy is an iron fist in a velvet glove. Do we still have that iron fist to be effective as a defense force and to be effective in our efforts at diplomacy? The ACDP has consistently called for additional funding for the defense force. Underfunding contributed to the debacle in the DRC, and it is disgraceful that defense spending stands at a paltry 0.7% of GDP. The Honorable Deputy Minister warned that the Defence Force would be hard-pressed to meet a conventional threat, which is thankfully unlikely. What is more alarming is his assertion that the Defence Force would be even hard-pressed to deal with large-scale civil unrest in the country. Let us be reminded and thankful that the Defence Force stabilized the country during the 2021 widespread civil unrest in KZN and parts of Gauteng. What is deeply alarming is today's reports of social media fueling possible unrest in KZN. This following Provincial Commissioner Makwanazi's explosive allegations. We see media reporting about #July riots 2001, similar to that which fueled the 2021 unrest. It is crucial that crime intelligence and military intelligence closely monitor the situation, and that a rapid deployment force is on standby to assist SAPS should the need arise. This will serve as a deterrent to repeat what occurred in 2021 and which caused the loss of many, many lives. Now, Chairperson, members of Parliament stand here and we say we reject the budget, but we have the power to amend the budget, and we as the ACDP welcome the fact that the Portfolio Committee is approaching the Appropriations Committee to increase the funding for the Defence Force. Let us use the powers that are entrusted to us. It is not helpful to wring our hands and say there's nothing we can do. The Defence Force requires additional funding. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Swart. We invite the Honorable Nondenja.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, and greetings. The UTM is deeply concerned about the state of our Defence and Military Veterans Department. The low levels of defence funding is of great concern. Starting with Budget Vote 23, the committee has stated clearly that the budget is underfunded. Compared to the adjustment budget of 2024-25, the DoD budget increased by 3% in nominal terms, which results in a decrease of 1.6% in real terms. When adjusted for inflation for 2024-25 to 2025-26. The defense allocation for 2025-26 represents a mere 2.2% of the country's total expenditure. For a department that has obsolete equipment in all its units, where spending on key areas like cyber defense, border protection, and equipment remains too low, this begs a question about the nation's seriousness about the safety of the citizens. Underfunding of DoD needs a serious reconsideration, taking into consideration the global norms. The same applies to the modernization and cyber defense. Notably, on Budget Vote 26, the budget has gone up by 63 million and more funds are promised to veterans' pensions and housing. However, the delay in finalizing the database is disadvantaging the military veterans. Travel and subsistence is affecting the budget as the veterans have to travel long distances to access their benefits. The UTM calls for the department to piggyback on municipalities instead of premier's offices, which are far from most of the veterans. The department doesn't seem to have enough money to roll out pensions for the full year, and that honesty must be respected. This also shows the bigger problem: poor planning, slow progress, and a department that is still stuck with an old structure. On the other hand, There is no permanent DG for years. Too many top positions are vacant, and veterans in rural areas are struggling to access support and benefits. The department's call center is not working. The list goes on. Chairperson, our veterans deserve better. They served this country. Now the system is failing them. And Honorable Chair, 3 minutes is not enough. The UTM nevertheless supports the budget.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Zibi, it's your opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Firstly, let me salute the men and women in uniform, especially those who served under very difficult conditions in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. South Africa has a 2,600-kilometer long coastline straddling 2 oceans, the Indian and the Atlantic. That coastline is a border. It is poorly defended because our Navy and Air Force cannot keep their most important equipment in service. The same is true for the 1.5 million square kilometers of ocean that is supposed to be an exclusive economic zone of ours for them to patrol and protect. We have pilots who should be flying but are not. We have sailors who should be at sea but are instead on land. Our overall force equipment is old, obsolete, and a complete mismatch compared to the national security threats we face. The obsolescence does not end with equipment, I'm afraid, Honorable Minister, that most of the leadership of the armed forces does need a generational change. And this is to say nothing personal to the people in charge. There is a pervasive view among younger officers that appointments to leadership roles are determined by loyalty rather than talent. But we have an even bigger problem, which is the absence of a coherent national security strategy that we can look at and therefore back additional funding for. As much as I agree that our armed forces are chronically underfunded, it is also difficult to back significantly additional funding when the armed forces and the DMV do not manage the little money they get in accordance with the basic governance and the law. Rise Mzansi's view that will back a significant increase in the defense budget when, 1, the security cluster tables a coherent national security strategy before Parliament. It has long been promised, but none materializes. The revelations by General Mkhwanazi over the weekend demonstrate that throughout our security system, we likely are severely compromised, infiltrated, and captured by criminal elements. We must see progress in the cleanup of the poor governance and corruption in the defense environment and military veterans. Part of this, Minister, is retiring people who have overseen the rot. We need new blood. That you, Minister, please table an armed forces mandate that reflects the asymmetric threats we face. We need a younger, smarter, better trained, and more mobile defense force with regional deterrent capability. So our support for this budget, rather than rejecting it in favor of a bigger budget, reflects our view that bigger financing needs a coherent plan. Otherwise, we're throwing good money after bad. Ultimately, honorable members, it is the commander-in-chief, the president, who must show seriousness about national security. Absent that, I'm afraid, honorable minister, you will continue to walk away with budgets that are too small compared to mandate and barely keep us safe. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Member. We invite the Honorable the Deputy Minister of Defense and Military Veterans, the Honorable Hlophe, to take the debate forward.
Chairperson of the House, honorable members, the focus of my narrative will be on the challenges faced by the Department of Military Veterans in the implementation of its mandate and proposes the way forward in mitigation of the challenges. Challenges over the past 15 years, the department has encountered several challenges, including lack of human capacity to deliver on its mandate, legislative gaps, high level of vacant posts in senior management levels leading to leadership instability,
The lack of automated system still remains a challenge. Moreover, the other challenges that we face relates to the implementation of military veterans benefits. Way forward, as approved by the PTT, the transversal team will be in place as soon as possible to work out the modalities to assist the department in specific areas pertaining to improvement of capacity and capabilities, in particular with respect to the organogram and structure of the department, legislative review, and service delivery model. We will continue making efforts to implement the benefits of the military veterans by ensuring that the verification panel continues to do its work of both the verification and cleansing, as well as the applying the means test. We should endeavor to ensure that the budget allocated to us is fully utilized and engage with the National Treasury to properly fund these benefits. While we are focusing on reforms, the department will fast track the process of automation of systems, which will assist in providing timely service of clients. We are emphasizing on the current administration's aim to build a capable, ethical, and developmental state. Efforts are being made to enhance the organizational structure of the department by prioritizing the filling of identified critical posts within the medium-term period. The ministry will provide adequate support to the department and the necessary political counseling to stakeholders in response to governance issues facing the national umbrella body responsible for the advancement of the military veterans affairs. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Minister. The Honorable Hatting, it's your opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair. The words of a former American president, Benjamin Franklin, lost time is never found again, echoes with chilling relevance. Decades of lost time have left cracks in our nation's shield, the SANDF. Cracks born out of financial neglect, incompetence, and a collapse of leadership. The 2015 Defense Review warned, without immediate and directed interventions, critical capabilities would be lost. That warning was ignored. Many critical capabilities were lost, and the DRC fiasco and the tragic comic incidents come to mind. The SANDF is crippled. Our Navy is crippled. Our submarines designed for a 30-year life is, if mid-life refits were done, have missed critical maintenance and are effectively dead in the water. Charlotte Masheke has been stripped and has been in the dockyard since 2016, while Mantatishi was rushed back into service without a proper refit, compromising her safety and future availability. And the Queen Majaji waits for Mantatishi to come out of the dockyard. Our maritime domain awareness, the ability to monitor and control our waters, has disintegrated, leaving our seas vulnerable to poaching, smuggling, and foreign incursions. This is largely shocking for a country vastly dependent on maritime trade. Our economic weakness, to an extent, lies in our inability to secure our shipping routes. South Africa's patrol and surveillance capability has collapsed. Last year, Minister Motshega promised 441 million for repairs. 1 year later, nothing has happened. Our Air Force is, for all practical purposes, grounded, bleeding pilots and expertise. Technical expertise. The Grippins and Hawks are mothballed for lack of space and expired contracts. The C-130 fleet, once the backbone of airlift, is down to a single airworthy aircraft. The Oryx and A109 helicopters are largely unserviceable, leaving the Air Force unable to conduct even basic troop transport or medical evacuations. The Rooivalk attack helicopters are sidelined by underfunded support and lack of funded upgrades. Training hours have collapsed. Even VVIP transport is prioritized above combat readiness. The military health service is failing those it was meant to support. One military hospital remains an uncompleted construction site after more than a decade. Soldiers and their families rely on overburdened provincial hospitals or pay out of pocket, an unforgivable betrayal. The situation on our borders is equally dire. Soldiers patrol with obsolete vehicles, broken equipment, and no advanced surveillance systems. While the world deploys drones and smart sensors to secure their borders, our troops are stranded in the 20th century. And this decline has cascaded down to our most important battle assets, our troops. In the DRC, as part of a Sami DRC deployment, our troops suffered a humiliating defeat. Overrun by M23 with no close air support, they were forced into a chaotic withdrawal that exposed South Africa's hollowed-out military capability. Stripped of support and equipment, they were left vulnerable and demoralized. Soldiers even had to buy their own tents, a damning indictment of an abandoned SANDF. The inability to provide even boots and clothing sustainable to our soldiers had the South African National Defence Union launching a Boots for Troops campaign to step in where the state has failed. Last year, the minister stood here pledging a soldier-first principle and promising an interim force design. A year later, there is no design, no strategy, no alignment of resources. The 500 million pledge for border vehicles and technology has vanished. Yet Minister Motshega continues to repeat slogans like "Journey to Greatness," while failing to deliver a credible plan and costed framework based on South Africa's needs and a national security strategy. A year after promising the review of the 2015 Defence Review, there is still no roadmap, no plan, only recycled rhetoric as the SANDF slides deeper into crisis. Defence planning requires discipline and courage. Also the courage to tell the Commander-in-Chief and Cabinet what this country can and cannot afford. During the past year, there has been nothing but drift and decay. Meanwhile, VIP perks are protected. Generals enjoy luxury vehicles, exorbitant protection, and officers fly business class all over the world. Costly overseas trips, including to Russian military parade, are funded, while frontline soldiers lack food, rations, and morale. Despite desperate financial pressures and extreme difficulties, our soldiers remain committed to safeguarding our borders and our country. This makes it all more urgent to prioritize a clear force design, align forces with South Africa's defence needs, and secure the funding required to maintain these core capabilities. Minister, we will support you in achieving this. But if the Minister and her military leadership cannot put boots on our soldiers' feet, Honourable House Chair, then they must step aside for those who can and will. South Africa needs a credible force design, an honest strategy, and leaders with integrity to balance South Africa's defence needs with fiscal reality. Because South Africa and the SANDF needs more than rhetoric, more than blue lights and red carpets and boots for troops campaigns. We need leadership, strong, professional, principled leadership. I thank you, House Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Sokanyile, it's your opportunity to speak.
Bongwe.
Greetings to the House Chairperson. Let me observe the protocol that has been observed by the speakers before me. Today, honourable members, we've gathered not to debate abstract figures on a page, but to decide on our commitment to a secure and stable country, fully able to defend its constitution and values.
when under threat, to respond appropriately to crises within and beyond our borders, and to offer coordinated assistance in times of natural disasters. We are also here to consider the needs of our veterans who have so able served the country and deserve adequate pension when they are no longer able to do so. That is why, as the African National Congress, we support this budget. This budget we are debating today for the Department of Defense and Military Veterans is both a policy instrument and a mirror of our commitment to support the national values enshrined in our Constitution. This Constitution was hard-won, and we must defend it. In addition, we must implement its values, one of which is respect of the worth of every human being, including those no longer able to play an active role as a public servant. Honourable members, the South African National Defence Force is crucial to our sovereignty and enable us to protect the gains of our democratic dispensation. Section 200 of our Constitution clearly states that our defense force has an obligation to protect the Republic and keep our citizens safe. The defense environment is continuously evolving, and as a nation, we need the stability to evolve with it and meet the threats of today and tomorrow. The defense force of today has quite different issues to deal with than that of 2 decades ago. Our needs are greater because our threats have multiplied and broadened. Extreme weather events displace communities and increase humanitarian needs. Our defense force needs to be equipped and set to deal with these events swiftly, effectively, and compassionately. For this, our forces need functioning technology, more advanced and focused training, and upgrades to our military bases. Our military bases were not designed with climate threat in mind and are dire need of appropriate adjustment. By preparing our defense force for the realities of the climate change, we ensure national stability and safety of our people during the most difficult days. Honourable members, it cannot be disputed that the SANDF is under severe strain owing to the persistent low funding, which has lowered morale and is in danger of hampering our efficacy as a force and a vital instrument of nation building. Floods that occurred sometime in KZN and to the recent floods in the Eastern Cape underscore the urgency of modernizing our procurement processes so that we can acquire systems that enable swifter responses. The state-of-the-art drones, for instance, would enable us to survey the extent of the problem within hours or minutes. In addition, honourable members, we need to maintain and improve our prime mission equipment so that we can defend ourselves against cyber attacks and electronic warfare. The modernization of SANDF is no longer an option, but an imperative. If we fail to modernize, we risk losing the edge in dealing with emerging security realities. As this House, we need to encourage the engagement that the Department of Defense is having with National Treasury and Presidency and all our security structures. Siyeke aba abantu abathi balwela veterans who are here in this House, and yet they reject everything that is being put here. Cannot allow it.
Order, honourable members, don't drown the speaker. Order, honourable members.
Let us consider, honourable members, that our soldiers and veterans endure significant psychological strain. And with the little money that we have, we are going to assist them. The Department of Military Veterans need funding to expand health and other programs in order to ensure that all veterans receive the support and care they deserve. A defense force that contributes to the well-being of their forces is a stronger defense force, more equipped to carry out its mandate. Honourable members, as we conclude this important debate on budget vote 23 and 26, we must think about the great variety of demands on the military budget. SANDF is the safety net underlying all our progress and development. For without their ability to keep our country safe, all our progress can be undone in an instant. Our forces need upgrades to facilities and existing equipment, new equipment and system, training in number of key areas, and the security of pension and healthcare when their days of serving are over. Global tests today reveal the critical need of modernized defense force, able to deal with great variety of threats. We must fix the logistics and overhaul our procurement processes, making sure that every cent we spend leads to a better, stronger, and more cohesive defense force, not forgetting the needs of our veterans. In closing, pause and consider the life of our veterans. Those people, ekudlalwa ngabo by some of the members here, going around to say that we'll fight for you, and yet they're not fighting for them when they are on this platform. Although some receive pensions, although some receive pensions, many more are not yet so supported. After serving their country so able 30 to 40 years or more, some find themselves without decent housing, reliant on health services that is already under pressure and often afflicted by quite serious health mental issues. To alleviate their problem, we need the SANDF equipped to take care of their needs. One that is able to use technology better, work together with other groups and ensure that no military veteran falls between the cracks. All of us, we must stay focused after today, checking progress and pushing for concrete results in the coming year. Let us show we are serious about our defense force and its members, both while they are in active service and once they have retired. A country that looks after its defense force is stronger and secure a country and able to protect its people and its development gains. Honourable members, as the ANC, I repeat, we support this budget because we are supporting the goal of secure country and that defend its borders, responds effectively in natural disasters, and can deal with threats such as international terrorism and cyber attacks, and support the health of the welfare of its military veterans. Bantu abasemakhaya, abantu bangolayo, bathi masinganincedisi. Thank you.
Thank you, honorable members. Honorable members, thank you. Honorable members. Thank you, honorable members. We now invite the Minister Motshekga to close the debate.
No, thank you very much, Chair. Let me also thank the members who participated in the debate and can assure them that we have taken copious notes on some of the points that they raised. I say some, because I agree with members that for us to avoid war, we have to be ready for war. Defense is very important for our safety as a people, our sovereignty, but it also contributing towards world peace regionally especially in our SADC region and our continent. And indeed, and I was happy that most members acknowledge the challenges that we are confronted with as a department, that indeed underfunding is actually an existential problem or challenge for us. And we do need to speak in one voice in ensuring that the Department of Defense gets more resources, and more important, its baseline is increased. So Chair, I want to respond, as I said, we've been taking copious notes, Chair, about some of the points that you've made that we should be able to attend to, but also want to emphasize, especially on military veterans, that we're not only verifying in Northwest and the Free State, but it's a national program which runs parallel also with cleansing the database to make sure that we protect the integrity of the information that we have. And Chair, as I say, I want to respond to other things, because coming here, I knew one will find a finder, which mistake, but you find a finder. So they will really look for reasons not to support. We knew they were not going to support. So they have to find reasons and use big words to say, as a support, betrayal. I knew those things, so just use different words to do so, or find a finder. I thought it's an old game, yeah, so they will always find mistakes and refuse to really see the bigger picture. And as I say, some of them we all know well, would he claim to fame picture yonke into ekhulunywayo. So
Honourable members,
expected it.
don't drown the speaker. Honourable
So-
members, don't drown the speaker.
Others we are supposed to how it is 18 military veterans, but yeah, because these very people, these military veterans, the leadership is Pumaguya with the APC.
Honourable Minister,
But then we're
Honourable
ready that it's
Minister, can you take your seat? Honourable Nkuna, you are recognized.
Thank you, Chair. Is it parliamentary to say members of parliament are doing finder from a minister
Honourable
who was in basic education and left 30%
Honourable member,
as a pass rate?
Honourable member, I switched off that mic because you were supposed to raise your point of order and not give a speech. So giving a speech is equally unparliamentary and it's out of order from your side. But I will allow the minister to continue because it is well within her right as a person who is debating. Honourable Minister, continue.
Ngiyabonga Sihlalo. So, Chair, also in terms of responding to the IFP, I can assure you, member, ukuthi we are ready to defend. So it's not as if sesilelengesiswa was no defender. Bayazi bangakhomba umzona utshwala kodwa ngeke basondele, and we are sure about that. To the member of the PA, I really have to say with due respect, I fear a racist debate using race, colors, hate. I just find it a very dangerous political issue. So I just thought I should express that. I think it's in bad taste. I did indicate that verification, Chair, is happening nationally, not only in the Free State and Northwest.
There's a hand, Chair.
Honourable Minister, take your seat. Honourable Van Wyk, I recognize you.
Chairperson, would like to raise a point of privilege here.
Yes, you may proceed.
I want to tell the minister, I'm not being racial here.
No, you
Fact of the matter is,
responding to
doesn't
the
want-
debate.
she doesn't
Honourable
want the
mem-
Issa
Honourable
Kaka.
member, Honourable
Doesn't
member,
want the Issa Kaka.
Honourable member, listen to
And
me.
must tell her.
Honourable member, listen to me. I am presiding here. You will listen to the chairperson. This is a point of debate. It's not a point of privilege nor a point of order. Honourable Minister, continue.
Thank you very much, Chair. And Chair, also to member vessels, I agree that, and I can indicate that where we have to discipline people, we do. We may not, perhaps, in terms of culture of discipline, we do work with people where we can, and I think we can share with you where we have done disciplinary processes. And as I say, Chair, I really appreciate the fact that the debate does accept that, and which is what we accept, that underfunding, it's an existential problem. And other things which are presented, those members, Zibi says exactly what we need and then says he'll support if, what do she look at Afrigate, honking to pansy. But he says, so again, as I say, this question of already finding excuses not to support. And also to clarify that Islamic DRC chair, it's a SADC mission where participating countries commit themselves to what they can contribute. And on that which we committed ourselves, I can promise you that we have contributed. I fully agree with Member Swart from the ACDB that the problem, we're presenting a budget that has been given to us. So it is the Parliament, Cabinet, and everybody. And I think we're all agreed that the department, the baseline needs to be done. The appropriation committee, every year, say is 0%, should also come to the party to say, yes, this is a serious problem, so that we are not expected to spend what we don't have. To say we will say we are going to increase 10,000 soldiers when they're not in the budget will be misleading the House, because we don't have the resources to do it. So we have to be honest to the House to say, these are the things we want to do, but Babzi, if I equal, we can't do it. And that's what we are saying. And I also said to Mr. Member Hatting to say, I think sometimes some of the things that you say, I said, I don't remember saying them, but I'll accept that you are saying those are things that have to be done. And as I say, I want to respond to member by member to say, we are said you must do the following. Do the following. Tina, what we are doing, we are giving you plans of what we have. It's not as if we don't know what needs to be done, what plans need to come in place, but we can, in all honesty, say we have 57 billion. This is what our plans are on the 57 billion. To go to 80 billion, remember, where EFF, it's another story for another day, but now we're talking about 57 billion, not something which is not there. And that's what we're presenting to you. So I would already urge the members to say, support the budget. Don't praise the men in uniform to say you honor them, you respect them. But if you don't support that which is in front of you, so you honor them to do what? So you say they must go home. You say they must go home. So ba honoreni kahle ni bahloniphe kahle ngokuthi nayi into encanyana qhubana umsebenzi. Ourselves as Parliament, we have a responsibility. Ourselves as Parliament, as government, will make sure that we fight for a bigger budget of finance. It doesn't have to praise people.
Honourable Minister,
to say,
unfortunately, your time has expired.
So, Onyabong.
Order, honourable members. Order, honourable members. Honourable members, you are reminded of the two debates that are continuing at the hour of 2 simultaneously in Public Works, which will be debated in this Good Hope chamber, and Health, which will be debated in Committee Room 46. That, honourable members, concludes the debate and the business of this mini plenary. The mini plenary may rise.